What's up, everybody? It's Mal. I'm here with my boy John, and we've been thinking a lot about the Wolf game. John hasn't spent any time with it. I've been watching it all day
Mhm.
long, and we thought it might be good to create a short little video to kind of go over everything that happened, all the trials, tribulations, excitement, pain, tears, and really kind of just take an agnostic look at the product and the project and see where we think it might go from here. How are you, John?
I'm doing awesome, man. I don't know much about this, but I know people are getting filthy rich on it. So let's talk about it. Let's dissect it.
Well, that's the thing. We don't know if people are getting rich off of it or not. The concept behind the project started really cool. Let me share my
Mhm.
screen real quick. And when you think about kind of some of the stuff that was being done for the game, it was really interesting, and it just started as a game. So
Mhm.
the genesis of this, and there was a few theories that Beanie was behind it. We don't have confirmation all that, although we know he is an investor in it pretty heavily. And so the original concept was Wolf.game, and essentially the way it worked is that sheep and wolves are competing for a token called Wool, and it's evolved a lot very quickly since then. So it has a white paper, but essentially what the goal of this was is that you could mint these NFTs, and there was 1 in 10% chance that an NFT would be a wolf, and 90% chance that you would mint a sheep. And the sheep create wool over time. They create 10,000 wool per day, and then when you shear them or actually claim the wool, 25% of that wool immediately goes to the wolves, and it's a tax. And if you collected enough wool, you would be able to actually go and try and mint a generation two sheep or wolf. Now, they generated all 10,000, and you can see I have 2,000, or excuse me, I have two sheep here that I minted, and I staked them immediately. And you can see that the ticker's slowly going up. I'll zoom in. And what's really interesting about this is that, you can only, at the time, you could only unstake your sheep if you had 2 days worth of wool accumulated. So once you staked it, you had to collect 20,000 on the sheep before you could unstake. And when you unstaked it, there was a 50% chance that you lose 100% of that wool to the wolves, but you get your sheep back. Does that make sense?
Mhm. Yeah.
Okay. So it's all great in theory, and you can see here that this is where the supply and demand issues are starting to really run rampant, and where there's a lot of confusion. Is my bandwidth cutting in and out?
No, you're coming in.
Okay,
You're
cool,
coming in crisp. By the way,
awesome.
Mal, this game looks like it's got great Ponzinomics.
It does. The issue with this game is that it broke.
Hmm.
And
Well,
you can see here that unstaking and claiming has been paused for safety and security. So
mhm.
although I have enough wool to hypothetically unstake my sheep, I can't, because there was an exploit found. And this was the second exploit that was found. And I don't have all the details on that exploit, but
Mhm.
essentially, because of this exploit was found, until it can be fixed, they can't allow everything to be unstaked. Simultaneously, there was a flaw found in the contract. And if you remember the Meebits project, where eventually they had to mint all the Meebits and then do a random claim, because when you're claiming through the contract, people were able to find the Meebits with
Mhm.
rare attributes.
Yep. Yep.
This contract had a similar flaw, and so
Mhm.
people were able to just mint the wolves over and over in the Gen 2. So great tokenomics, great concept, great game theory, but the issue is that they had to pause the first phase of the game at once only 13,000 of these were minted. So this does two things. One is now the amount of wool that's being created is a lot less. But
Mhm.
two, the first portion of the game can't be played until it's fixed. Now, there's another challenge, is that if you look at the number of sheep minted and the number of sheep staked, a very high percentage of the sheep that are minted are staked.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you look at the wolves, very, very similar. So what this did is it created this feature where there's very, very low supply on OpenSea. And because there's very low supply on OpenSea, it created this loop where the value of the unstaked NFTs just started going parabolic, where at
Mm-hmm.
one moment the value of the NFTs was up to 7 ETH for sheep
Yeah.
yesterday, which is insane.
It's like the magic of staking.
It's the magic of staking, except a lot of the components um, weren't able to be completed, right? So it's
Mm-hmm.
proving like the value of staking. But the issue is now that if, let's say, they fix the design flaw. So if we come here, let me pull this up again. All right. So
It's like
you can,
Cardano. It's got a fixed supply, and you can stake it. And since most of it's staked, the price rises. It's magic.
yeah, but you can't unstake.
Mm.
And you can't spin the wool that you already have. So,
Yeah.
so the issue is this market still looks incredibly healthy, right? So if you look at it, there's only 121 of the NFTs for sale. The floor is 3.6. It's
Mm-hmm.
moved 12,000 Ethereum.
Mm-hmm.
Gary Vee's holding a crap load of wolves that he bought at insanely high prices. But these you can't stake these sheep or wolves, and you can't unstake the sheep and wolves that are already there. So when
Mm-hmm.
you think about the economics of that portion of the game, it becomes incredibly stuck. So how does someone who wants liquidity get it until they fix these exploits? They can't.
Sounds like a real conundrum here.
Yeah.
Are you still making wool while you're staked?
Yes, you still make wool while you're staked. And what's really crazy is when you looked at the price of wool, when it went up to its peak, you're generating 10,000 wool per sheep per day. And at one point, the value of wool was almost up to 30 cents. So when you think about how much money, yeah, yeah, so like people are generating like point ETH a day.
So I missed something. What's the purpose of wool? Why do you want it?
So that's where
Just want to be a
this
millionaire for clout or what?
this all happens really, really quickly, right? And so when you think about the game, all right, so this is now phase two. And so because phase one of the game is paused, so we've already identified two issues, right? The first issue is that there's an exploit that may or may not be usable, that when you unstake, there could be a flaw. As the commenter here stated, they were also able to claim 300x the amount of wool when they're unstaking. Like there were some flaws right there.
Damn. So they unstaked their sheep. Then they
There was an exploit
then
where
they
they could,
sold all that wool, and then they could sell the sheep for
yeah,
like
for 7 ETH.
10x. Oh, that's awesome, man.
And
Wonderful.
the mint price on these was like 0.069. And I minted two.
Oh,
So it sounds great. And like this
the
weekend,
dark forces behind.
I'm like generational wealth, like, right? Like I'm like all feeling great. And then I'm like, okay, all
Uh,
I have to do is wait until I can unstake my sheep. And then if it's up to 5 ETH, um, if it's up to 5 ETH, I'll sell one and I'll just keep one sheep and
mhm.
do some cool stuff. But okay, so now to your question, right? So what's the second part of this game? And a lot of the hypothesis on their private Discord and everything else was that this part of the game is pretty polished. It's thought out. This isn't a reaction to, oh crap, now we have to do something. But I think they announced it much quicker than they were originally planning on announcing it because of kind of the flaws in the first phase of the game.
Mhm.
So now, if you have your sheep and your wolves, they're going to introduce land, and the land sale is going to be 20,000 parcels. But the issue, and the land was you could 20,000 pieces, and you could claim land based on a free mint of land for every wolf or sheep that you owned, which I claimed two of mine. And then there's a Dutch auction on the land sale, basically falling by the minute in terms of the amount of land you can buy. Additionally, there is a farmer that you can mint, but the farmers require wool. So you need to have 10,000 wool to be able to mint a farmer. So that's like the first phase of this. So you
So
can
is
see
the land wool too? Do you need, or is that just ETH that
it's
you buy the
ETH.
land? Okay.
Yes.
So the wool is exclusively to get farmers.
Yeah, for now. But we think that there's other layers that are going to be announced as well. And so,
What? Why is wool at 30 cents at the peak? It's
because
wild.
there's a lot of promise and there's a lot of hype, and then if you peep into Gary V's wallet, you start saying like, oh wow, like there's a lot of action that went in there in terms of here, I'll pull this up real quick and then we'll come back. Like, and you think about like the amount of people that are buying into this, it's just completely crazy. So like here's Gary V's activities allegedly. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11,
Dude, he got
12,
hosed on
13.
pricing, man. He bought the Pico top.
Yeah, but I mean, like, look how many, like, look, the supply that he owns that's unstaked is insane. And look at the price he's paying if it is him on some of these 15 ETH, 3.2, 7, 13. So, like, he clearly was a massive believer in this project. He still may be. And there was a lot of belief, there's a ton of upside in terms of this. And there's a lot of game theory um, thoughts with this. Like now people are saying, is the pause intentional to get the FUD and excitement and all those types of things? There were a lot of people that were critiquing, thinking that if they had waited longer, land was going to be for sale with wool as well. And then the new crazy theory that everyone has is that they changed it from wool to ETH so that they could use the ETH to buy the wool mark. Because inevitably, what's going to happen is when people can unstake, they're looking at the prices right now, thinking, "Oh man, if I'm first out, I can sell my sheep or my wolf for 3 to 5 ETH." Right. Mm-hmm. So everyone right now is thinking, and they also think, "Oh man, I can still sell all my wool for 10 cents." And for instance, I have now 40,000 wool that's staked from this process. So like that sounds awesome. But what's going to happen is when I unstake, there's a 50% chance I lose all of my wool per sheep because of the unstaking it. So 50-50 coin flip. And then I'm going to be rushing to OpenSea, which we're just going to see brrr, and then everyone's just going to be flooding the market. So the team is generating, a ton from these deeds that they're minting. Right now it's 0.25, and it's been higher than that. So they've generated quite a bit from this Dutch auction already. So the current thinking is that the way you fix this broken inflate two-sided inflation deflation bottom that's going to be happening is they essentially have to use the ETH that they make from the land sale to buy wool and burn it. Basically, like whatever the price is of wool, they're going to have to buy it with land. So that's what the thought is, that originally they were going to make the land for sale for wool as well. And then whatever comes next from the tokens could be here. It's crazy.
Yeah, that is pretty crazy. So are the sheep all unique?
Yeah, each of the sheep have unique attributes. They're all, and I mean,
but they all produce the same. All Gen 1 sheep produce the same amount of wool when you stake them.
Yes. But they do each have their own. And what's cool is, just like luchadors, it is 100% on chain, no IPFS. So like when you think about like some of the there's a lot of really, really cool stuff about this project, like what they were able to do, and each of them are unique, and they each have different attributes. So like there's a lot of, so each of the sheep, yes, they are completely unique. And sorry, it was Gen 0. So you can see, Gen 0, Gen 1.
So Gen I guess 0. Future gens make less wool.
Probably. I would think that something like that. But the problem is they have to fix it. So there's a lot of theories like, is the original contract dead, and now they have to make a new contract that the NFTs that exist can work with. How can you unstake those types of things? Like there's a lot of
but they froze it themselves, right? If they didn't freeze it, you could technically unstake your sheep.
They can, but it just depends on if they can stop that exploit or not.
So Mal, have you grown attached to your sheep?
Well, I mean, I got a pretty cool looking one. I was attached to making 10,000 wool a day when wool was at 30 cents. Um, but it's one of those things like, and you and I've talked about this quite a bit. Like people call me a paper hander, but the reason that I usually buy 2 or 3 NFTs is that if I can make money on the upside, I free roll my NFTs. Like I was an idiot with my apes. I bought 3 or 4 apes and then I sold them and got my free ape, right? I do that all the time with NFTs. And now typically I'll buy 3. So I'll buy 3, sell 1 on the upswing, and try and time the top for my second one so that I free roll and make money. With this one, I wasn't sure. It felt good. It looked cool. But yeah, this one right here, it's a black sheep. I used to be able to link to OpenSea, but once they removed in this, I can't get to it exactly. But I really like this wool. I think it's or sheep. I think it's one of the rarer sheep. So yeah, I like it, but I don't like that I can't unstake it. I have 50,000 wool right now, and the current price of wool is 0.1. But
Are you going to
once
change
again,
your Are you going to change your avatar from the ape to the sheep?
no, not gonna make it.
You
But
don't like
I
that,
mean, here's the thing: is like when you
but
think
what if he
about
makes you a lot of wool? That ape isn't making you any money. I mean, this could be your horse to ride.
the apes generate dividends in different ways. The kennel dog and the mutants that were free claims were essentially dividends for ape ownership as well.
Well, it seems like a freaking awesome game. I love the fact that you have the risk of losing it all when you unstake. That's badass.
And that's the thing. It's like there were a lot of different, and you lose 25%. So there's all these other silly things that happened too. So like, and you know me, like I didn't read the tech. So like I'm all excited. I'm like, oh cool, like the sheep are going up. Oh crap, I can't unstake. So then I spend each of mine are creating 10. So right when I have 10,000 wool, I immediately shear them and take the wool, and then I get that 25% hit, that the tax that goes to the wolves. And so now I can't even buy that second, or I can't buy the sheep. I can't mint the Gen 1 sheep. So then I have to wait longer. And then I have to pay gas fees because this is all on Ethereum. So then I have to pay gas fees again. So then this morning, I'm playing I'm looking at the new game. And so now I'm like, okay, well, I believe in the team. I believe in the project. I'm excited about all of this. And so I minted my Gen 1 sheep. It was a sheep, but it was stolen by the wolf, so I didn't get it. So that sheep is just gone.
What? That's awesome. When
And
you get the
then
Gen 1s, they get
it's a
stolen.
25% chance you lose it. So like
Oh, that's awesome.
it's like you're having fun with it. You're like, oh dang. And if it all worked, think about the brilliant mechanics that would be going on with that. Like it would have been really, really cool and fun to play with. So then I'm sitting there and I have I can't unstake and I can't get wool. So then I'm like, well, I got my 2 free pieces of land, and I only had like 6,000 wool, and you needed 10,000 to buy a farmer. So then I had to go on the market. I had to buy from Dex Tools. I had to buy some wool, and then that gas fees were like 0.03, and so like it was super expensive. But now I have my 2
Oh man, so,
parcels.
so you bought the Pico top on wool too.
I had to because I wanted to get a farmer.
Oh, there's a limited amount of farmers.
Yeah.
So you think? Oh wow. So yeah, for sure they frozen on purpose. Then yeah, for
Yeah,
sure.
and then this morning there was a third loophole that wasn't actually a loophole that everyone was worried about that was flooding as well. The timer, this right here, was combining all. So the free claims. It was supposed to stop when all the claims were done to 8,900, but the way the code on the website was, it was counting all the land sales. So it said 10,030 of 10,000, 10,031 of 10,000. So it looked to everyone like the contract was broken. And even though you could only do a max mint of the free claims, it was still minting free land. So that wasn't an exploit. It was a coding error. But that's the frustration people have with this game, is that within a few days, there was 3 or 4 things. And when you think about the amount of people that are excited about this and those types of things, they find those exploits and bugs really quickly. And this is some of the issue with these contracts is permanence, right? You have to get it right. It's like Miyamoto said back in the day, this doesn't matter now because everyone just patches games, but remember the old Nintendo games, a delayed game is eventually good, but a broken game is broken forever, right? When you put it
Mm-hmm.
on an NES cartridge, like if there was a bug or something broken, it was unfixable. And so this is Solidity and Ethereum and NFTs, like those contracts. Granted, there's ways you can deploy new contracts and make interaction that way, but
Mm-hmm.
for the most part, if there's a flaw in the contract here, the flaw is a big deal.
Yeah, I'm not. I mean, it sounds cool, but I don't know why they went on Ethereum with this game. I don't know why they wouldn't use something like Polygon, especially if it's going to be a transaction heavy type of deal.
I mean, I don't know. I'm not close enough, and that's why I wanted to have you on. And I
Mhm.
asked you before we went live. I was like, "What do you know about this?" Nothing. Okay, perfect. Let's just walk. It's funny because I'm at my nephew's birthday yesterday, and I'm talking to like not NFT native or crypto native
Mhm.
people at all. And like when you think about what's going on this week with like Thanksgiving and like every Thanksgiving table is
Mhm.
going to be what's an NFT. You're going to be yelling at your drunk uncle and all those things like about what NFTs are. And so yesterday I'm like having a legitimate conversation with my brother-in-law, my father-in-law, and I'm just like, yeah, so I minted these pixel sheep and they're 100% on chain and they're
Mhm.
making me wool, but I have to stake them and then they have to stay staked and like going through the whole thing and they're just like, huh? Like what does this even mean? And so there is a lot of complexity to these and since this project launched, there's been like cat and mice. There's like already like 20 derivatives of the predator prey type of thing. So it's pretty crazy to see how quickly this is happening.
Yeah, dude, it's like gambling. Which they incorporated gambling into the game, which everybody loves. So I see the draw for sure.
7 out.
So
It,
so what's your plan now, Mal? Are you going to pick up another sheep off the open market to make yourself some more wool, or are you going
no,
to keep the two you got?
yeah, I don't know. Like that's the other thing. Like people are really frustrated because the shepherd hasn't been the most communicative person in terms of what's going on at the project. So then you add in limited communication. The mods don't know anything. They're
Mm-hmm.
all getting yelled at. So everyone is when fixed, when staking, when unstaking. And so I like for until this morning I was confident enough in it
Mm-hmm.
to make moves to get at least 2 parcels of land and
And a
my
farmer.
one
Yeah.
farmer. Um, but even 10,000, I'm not going to spend $1,000 on wool to get a
Mm-hmm.
second farmer for my second piece of land until I know what's actually going on with this project.
Yeah. 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 I like the comment. Game theory is at play here, right? I mean, do you buy the wool now, thinking that others are going to do it to get the farmer? Because immediately afterwards, wool drops in price and the farmers go instantly, right? Or do you wait and try to play the game to see if you can get one later? So you just go buy wool and hold it and let it ramp up in price and then dump it, as it picks up. You could do that too.
But that's the other thing is like everyone's going to have a massive supply of wool once you can
Yeah, but
unstake.
nobody can access it, right? So how long does this thing persist? So wool will continue to go up because people are going to sit there staring at the farmers saying, "I want one." So does wool go up in value?
I don't know. It really like the things that I would be watching are does the price of land fall enough that like the momentum for the deeds or the land
Mm-hmm.
starts gaining momentum, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
and I could tell you that like if the Dutch auction falls half of this and
Mm-hmm.
there's starting to be momentum, I'll probably pick up a few more pieces of land, and then
Mm-hmm.
once you see the land moving, then you'll start seeing the farmers moving. But the issue is if all of this happens while the supply of wool is really limited because no one can unstake right now. And think about it from this perspective. If if all of the sheep had been minted, right, a big supply of the sheep is never going to be minted for this phase. They only got to the 13,000. So like less wool is being generated, albeit it can't be moved. It can't be moved into the market, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's illiquid. So
Mm-hmm.
when you think about all of these dynamics, and then you think about like, is this performance art? Because they were very, very candid at the beginning. Like, this
Mm-hmm.
is game theory. So like,
Oh yeah,
is the pause part of the game?
I think so. It has to be, right? And then you
Like,
get to think about,
was this designed this way all along?
Mal, let me ask you a question. If you're sitting on a ton of wool right now, actually liquid wool, not the staked wool, but the liquid wool, what do you do with it? Where do you set the price?
If
Knowing
you
that you have basically the only circulating supply of wool. Do you price it low and try to move it, or do you just, I mean, where do you think the market value of wool is right now, really, in your mind?
I mean, I think that the most of the people that have any significant amount of wool right now are pretty liquid in other places, right? I
Mm.
don't think that the people that have a lot of wool right now
Well,
are.
well,
So
wool's gonna
the reason for that is I think that those people are going to be they're patient, right? They'll
But you
probably.
can't be, because whenever this thing gets lifted, there's going to be a massive increase in supply, which will dilute the value of wool down. So you got to play the game. Where do I price it while there's a limited circulating supply?
Yeah, but the demand for wool is already dropping, right? Because there's not much to spend it on except the farmers,
Oh, okay.
and yeah, you can only spend wool on farmers, right?
No.
So that goes back to like, if the demand for the land rebounds, right? That this is the key here, right? Oh, and then if you buy land, you also get 5,000 wool, but it doesn't come immediately.
Mm.
Um, so, I mean, that's going to be the key here, right? Because the farmers multiply the capabilities of your land in your quest for economic dominance, right? So, like, when you think
Yeah.
about what the farmer will probably be a 2x, 3x multiple. And then here's the other thing: is there going to
Mm.
be another token we don't know about yet?
You said, does
Like,
the farmer's the one that multiplies it 2 to 3x?
well, I don't know. I'm just Oh, sorry. I thought I had my screen showing this whole time.
Oh.
Yeah, so the farmer multiply the capabilities of your land in your quest for your dominance. So I don't know what the multiple is, but it
Mm.
definitely is going to have some impact. But then, like, does the farmer create corn coin? Like, and
Mm.
there is wool just the governance token? Like, but wool's inflationary right now. But there's a max supply of, I think, I don't know the exact amount right now, but there is a max supply. And once again, if the first phase of the game went well and everything was staked, all the wool that would ever exist would have been minted in 18 to 19 days.
Mm. Okay. So then what happens? Your sheep staked, or they're kind of worthless at that point. They can't make any more wool for you.
I don't know. See, that's the thing. There's phases to this game. Like, we're playing a game we don't know the outcome for.
Mm.
But
Wow.
clearly there's got to be some, like, this is the only thing, is that like it's getting a lot of attention, it's creating a lot of FUD, and it's like, is this a social experiment to show what happens when markets collapse, or when liquidity dries up and you can't access it, or there's when no one values their dollars anymore and dumps it immediately, everything like becomes hyperinflationary. Like, there's
Mm.
there's so many interesting things, or it's just an accident, right? And the code wasn't well designed or something, and now they're trying to figure out how to make it all work. And they announced phase two sooner to hopefully keep people excited. There's just so much going on here. It's incredibly interesting.
Yeah, that's awesome. The pay to earn ecosystems. You can do a lot of cool stuff. Cool project. Yeah.
It is a cool project. Hopefully
So
it
how
works
much you
out.
meant for? You said 0.06?
He has like 0.069. It was something really, really not significant. I mean, it's significant, but it's like, for these types of projects, I was going to mint 10. And I'm either an idiot not to, or an idiot, or I'm glad I didn't. I don't know. I mean, it all really just, we have no control. That's the most interesting thing about this is like typically when you think about liquidity and when you talk about people with paper hands, like we see the stories nonstop where people have bought they've bought an NFT for 5 ETH and sell it for 2.5, a few days later, just because like they want the liquidity.
Look at this guy.
Robbie, welcome to the Stash Club, bro. Love it.
Stash.
Awesome.
What are you guys talking about in here? What are you talking about?
Sheeps and wool, bro. Sheeps and wool. Mal's got a new favorite PFP.
Ooh.
Yeah.
All right.
Top it up. Put a sheep on there.
Are you going to be a sheep?
Bah.
He's playing the game. He's part of the economic experiment.
He's
is a
shearing sheep and collecting wool.
Yeah. They didn't tell you the devs are all wolves. And
Ah.
all the retail buying are the sheeps.
That makes sense.
You know,
That looks like Malachi.
Yeah, I am going gray. NFTs are going to be the end of me. But yeah, it's been fun. I really hope it works out because it could be a really incredible experiment. But right now that's the other thing is like all these people that are buying that limited supply that isn't staked, and the fact that it's just generating such an insane amount of volume right now. It's mind-boggling. And then you also think about
I'm not sure why you would buy one not staked though. That doesn't make
you can't stake right now. You literally can't.
Well,
can we hijack this real quick?
The whole point is to make wool, and you can't. Why would you buy a sheep if you can't make wool?
Well, like that's the question. Is like
3 ETH is the floor price for a sheep.
A sheep that can't make wool.
I could buy a fucking real sheep for that, bro.
Look,
I can buy 10 real sheep.
Yeah, but the sheep don't make you 0.8 ETH a day.
Let me look up how much a sheep is.
Well, neither of those sheep, bro. They can't make any wool. You can't stake.
Well, this is the thing. Why is this pure speculation?
Bro, 175 on Craigslist. I can get a sheep right now. $175. A black belly sheep for 300, bro, and they'll deliver it.
That's awesome.
Hey, can we hijack this for a second? Because you know what's redeemable right now? Euler Beats Mix Pass.
Oh man,
they just opened it up. Why don't we do Redeem Mix Pass live?
Why don't we end this video and create a new video for SEO?
Let's do it.
All right. I need 5 minutes, and then we'll start another video. We'll throw it out there. Awesome. I didn't tell my wife I was streaming. Last time I did that, I got in trouble. All right. We'll see everyone back here in 5 minutes.
5 minutes.